What about Miles Morales? Chill, you didn't mention that character. Thank you, audience, for the positive reception of these series where I tell you about how black characters don't sell and how low we are, and what we need to do is buy multiple issues of Storm, and we can even save money on some of these bums because there's nothing more than cancellation. After cancellation, that's it. You just, whether you give these guys 1,000 units sold or not, they're not doing anything. Just transfer your money over to some substantive change. That series, you asked about Miles Morales. I don't mention Miles Morales. I personally think this guy got a ceiling on him. As long as he calls himself Spider-Man, so long as he's secondary. Every bit of success that he has right now, before I get to the sales, I'm talking right now. Every bit of success he has is because he is the top 3 character of a film studio. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't get the movies that we got, those animated things. There would be no creative ideas coming out of Marvel to feature this guy. It's just because Sony owns the Spider-Man IP. They got Venom also. And they're like, yeah, we can do cartoons with this guy. That's it. That's the status he's in. I would love for them to evolve this character and develop him past Spider-Man. I don't think Sony wants to do that. Because I don't know if they can still use him if they change the name. It's just he's in a funk. No matter what, because this is about representation. It's not about, oh good, he's on screen, look at him, look at the way he looks, boom, mission accomplished. You also gotta be someone with your own identity, and you don't further proximity to whiteness or a brand that is a Caucasian guy in Peter Parker Spider-Man is correlated with value. We don't want that. So he's not my guy. But what about him? How does he sell? What do we know about this character? Well, the Ultimate Spider-Man line began, and Bendis has been writing this character for a long time, over 150 issues. And instead of showing you issue 156, The Death of Spider-Man, which sold really well, had a bump. I'm going to rewind one more time. When did the prelude end? Let's go find out what happened and how well this sold at issue 152, before they were promoting The Death of Spider-Man. This website is comicron.com. They've got the data on all the sales that have ever happened year by year up until when? 2020. Because this is when, as they say here, if you ever have time, you can stop, pause it, and read it for yourself to see exactly what went down. In 2011, in January, is that comic I just had up. And how well did it sell? It was called Ultimate. ULTIM. And where is it? Right up there, 152. A regular Ultimate comic book at the time had 33,000 units that were sold at the time. So that's regular, that's normal. And if I jump ahead a month now, I'm looking at February 2011, where they began the Death of Spider-Man sales. There was an inflated audience for that. So we can also say 43,000 units. That's the basic audience for the Ultimate run. What happened was Ultimate Fallout 4 happens. It comes out, and there's a new Spider-Man. That was the debut issue. How did we follow up on it? Let's follow how Miles sold. September of 2011, let's jump over to Ultimate Spider-Man to see how well it sold. Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, 87,000 units. And number 2 also came out this month. Must have been one where there were 2 Wednesdays. Nothing peculiar here. 52,000 units, which is normal. The big issue number 1, more people are more experimental to try out a comic book, and it dipped down to 52,000. This is with Miles, not Peter Parker, but there was a built-in audience of over 150 issues coming weekly to read about their character, and knowing this creative team, that it helped this character stay on. He's got benefits and advantages that no other comic book character has ever had, and the Spider-Man brand is a popular one. He's got so much working for him. I'm going to skip a year into 2012 of September when Avengers vs. X-Men was happening. But Ultimate Spider-Man, issue 14, he maintained. He had 40,000 units being sold. And also 40,000, well, maybe 2 have to come out for this guy. Maybe he's got like a every 3 weeks schedule. I don't know. You let me know. But he had 2 comics releasing this month also, where he got 40,000 units, 40,000 units. That was where this character leveled off at. I'm going to jump ahead. After Secret Wars happens, forgive me, but let me just explain. I remember that there was a series that was called Spider-Man after Secret Wars of Bendis, and if they counted the legacy numbering of Ultimate Spider-Man for him also, so he's at 240. How about I don't look at 240? I'm just going to jump to I decided that I'm going to click on issue number 11 because it's not a Civil War tie-in and it doesn't have the number 1 or this cover, which is probably going to result in sales from comic book retailers. I want to look at 11. I'll start with number 1 just to see how well Bendis debuted with number 1, and then I'll go to number 11. So let's go to February of 2016 on Comicron. The title was called Spider-Man, and issue number 1 sold 99,000 units. And I'll go to just March to show you that it's going to go from 99,000 all the way down to a regular drop going down to 60,000, and it decreases and decreases. I said I was checking in issue number 11, right? December 2016. Let's type in his name and he appears. Issue number 10, which was the Civil War tie-in, sold more, of course. And then issue 11, 35,000 units on a regular old 11. You know, the issue where most characters get canceled at because their sales are below 15K and it'll start costing the company money to produce these comics and they won't profit enough. When it's at issue 11, it's making 33,000. This wasn't cancellation. I hope I just fixed the lighting. Thumbs up this video for the quality image. I think that there's a lot of comic books that fail, and not that I think that, it's just how it happens. And this guy sustained it. And his movie audience may have drawn more people towards this comic book character. He's got publicity. He's being marketed. Thanks to Sony. Thanks to a stupid deal that was written in 1999 when Marvel was losing money. And they're just like, yeah, you guys just got this Spider-Man IP in whole for perpetuity. And they started making movies with Miles. That's awesome. That's a good thing. My best case scenario is that he starts calling himself his own name that isn't Spider-Man. But if you're ever wondering, hey, how does Miles Morales sell? You know what's going on here? You got to see Bendis hold it down for this character, a top tier creator. This guy was incentivized to create this character because the family that he had adopted, he started having a little bit of melanin in the house. So in 2011, he makes that choice. He's still rocking with the character in 2018. It would reboot though. And how did it reboot under Saladin Ahmed? Yeah, well, first of all, I have to return to remember what the title was called. Was it called Miles Morales Spider-Man? Yeah, for 2018 to 2022. And there are 42 issues, nothing to be embarrassed about. I can't go into 2022 because Diamond won't have the numbers, but they probably have the numbers. I'll just go to like March of 2020 to find out exactly how it was doing at the time. Issue 1 came out in December of 2018. So comiccron.com, monthly scales, scroll down to December of 2018. And how high did the comic book sell? Miles Morales Spider-Man is what it was called. Issue 1 sold 57,000 units. Issue 2 dropped. Miles Morales issue 2 dropped 33,000 units. And then his third issue came out with 35,000 units. And his fourth issue, 30,000 units. It's pretty level. I want to tell you what's happening here because this is the month of March 2019. His movie had just come out. There's an audience for it. Even when it's not Brian Michael Bendis writing anymore. Brian Michael Bendis left the company. Now he's writing Superman over for DC. He's busy doing other things. He cut ties. And even to this day, at the time of recording, he still hasn't returned to the company. But the character had such a strong enough foundation that the same audience, 30,000 units, was sticking around with the character. And I was at issue number 4. This was great. I'll jump to issue number 5 if you don't believe me. Miles is issue number 5, 28,000 units sold. And then his 6th issue in May jumps up to 33,000 units sold. This is a good number. And yes, memory serves me right. I had to check. This is because there was a brand new character, so there was on the cover. And so there's an increase from speculators going, oh, it's the first appearance of Starlink, whatever her name was. The last and final month, this comic came out in May 2019. Well, 10 months later, the last and final real raw data of true comic book sales that we have of March of 2020, Miles Morales Spider-Man sold, MILES, make sure you see it, 25,000 units at issue 16. This is not cancellation at all. They're not paying Saladin Ahmed that much money. They're not paying the artist much money. 25,000, they're profiting with this character who wouldn't have existed without Sony. Well, wouldn't have existed without Bendis, wouldn't have been as successful without Sony. 25,000 units being sold. That is sustainable. It's the 67th highest seller of that month. You want to see, let's just jump to 67. If I just jump to 67, what is it surrounded by? Oh, well, Wonder Woman numbers. It's doing Valkyrie, Jane Foster for issue number 9 of that. That was after Ragnarok? I don't even know why this is selling so high. Valkyrie, Jane Foster did well. Catwoman numbers, like this is their Deadpool numbers for issue 4 of Deadpool. I'm not going to count Outlaw number 1. Batman's Grave in issue 6 of just a regular old Batman series, miniseries. Like, this is pretty decent looking at Miles Morales with 16 with 25,000 units being sold. And as positive and as well as he's been doing by not being canceled, we have to also remember his level. He hasn't been featured the way he was integral to Secret Empire and Civil War 2, the kind of Bendis written driven events. All of a sudden, Bendis doesn't work here, and we don't have Miles Morales and the same attention or usage of him that he used to have. That's key to know. He makes about the same splash or same amount of impact you would expect a guy with 20,000 units being sold to make. Units sold, whether it's floppies, whether it's the trade paperbacks, which I had to get volume 2 of Dr. Ewing because I wasn't going to be the reason why this important character didn't sell, whether it's digital copies. Units sold, the sales are what guide how the characters are going to be used by the company that uses them. Do you think some of these executives care the way that, like, about representation for characters down here? Like, are they going to sleep? You think that Alonzo at the time, because this has been going on for a while, Quesada, Buckley, freaking Didaio, Lee today, Akira Yashida of today is going to sleep thinking about Night Thrasher. You think he's going to sleep going, oh, man, I gotta catch these Z's, but I keep thinking about Monica Rambeau Photon. No, he's worried about the new Spider-Man event. He's thinking about New York Comic Con and how he's gonna outdo DC because the Avengers are so much better than the Justice League. There's a difference in weight, and the sales are literally the metric. The metric. That's Miles Morales for you. That's how he's been selling lately. Lately, you know what? I'm gonna jump to today. Thanks to ICV2, I use Comic Book Revolutions, the site I'm about to use right now. Comic Book Revolution /category/sales charts and rankings, May of 2024. And I'm just going to put Control F Spider-Man, the Spider-Man franchise. Here we go. We're Ultimate, Venom, amazing. Miles, the 59th highest selling comic book of that month for issue 20 of Miles Morales Spider-Man. 59, this is where we jump back to Comic-Con. The 59th highest selling comic book is usually about 29,000 units sold. That's how well, based off of the ICV2 sample size estimate, that's how high this comic book is selling of Miles Morales Spider-Man. They're not going to cancel the character. They're happy that the character is doing what it's doing. He's also got a limit of how high he can get. As I keep telling you, that is Miles Morales. You asked, what about Miles? Well, now that you know about Miles, what are you going to do? Huh? Or ask me for another character? Huh? I'm out. Check out the Pantheon podcast I'm going to be recording in a few hours from right now. We'll be live tonight on Thursday evening. Peace. Peace. Like this one. Not this one. Free Palestine.